I was making a video a couple of weeks ago about a slightly different topic, and I mentioned split chords, which a few people have come back to me about and asked me for a bit more of an explanation. I have talked about splits before. They are incredibly useful, which is why I'm making the video again, to sort of drag together some of the points I've previously made. Whatever kind of genre you're playing in, whether it's jazz or whether it's sort of contemporary pop piano, split chords are incredibly handy, especially if you are putting together accompaniments, comps. Say if you have a chord sequence and you want to put together an interesting sounding accompaniment, say you're singing along or you're accompanying someone else, split chord is the #1 tool in your toolbox. Being able to do split chords competently and comfortably is also a great way of looking really cool on the piano, looking if you really know what you're doing without actually doing anything too difficult or challenging. You can typically play split chords in just a very basic hand position without moving around too much, but it kind of looks cool and it sounds cool, so they're really useful. A split chord is exactly what it says. You've got a simple chord and you've split it into two parts, say, or more. Say you're playing a chord of C major, a triad in the root position like that, you might split the chord into its root, the C, and the E and the G. At its absolute simplest, that allows you to do something like this. With a very simple bass. Okay, so if you've got a chord sequence for a kind of ballady type song, and rather than just playing the simple chords as you go, C, F and G, you can just split them like that, very simply. Again, if you know songs like Imagine or you know, Don't Look Back in Anger, stuff like that, they all have that kind of very, very simple split chord pattern. It's a bit of a standby for pop stars like John Lennon, like Noel Gallagher, God bless him, who are competent musicians but not absolutely at home on the piano. Yeah, so it's pretty straightforward. And again, look at what we're doing. We're just taking that simple chord and splitting it into two parts. What you can then do is make the rhythm a bit more complicated and irregular. Okay, that comes from not learning particular patterns, but just sitting at the piano and experimenting and playing around. I know I say this again and again and again in these videos, but just sitting your backside on the piano bench or stool or whatever, and just letting your hands do some thinking and some exploring is the #1 way to, you know, actually getting quite good at this stuff. It kind of works, as I said, in jazz as well. Say you've got a fairly sort of common cocktail sounding jazzy sort of chord sequence. You can split the chords up quite slowly just to give a sense of movement. So instead of just playing, you can make it more. Okay, look what I'm doing there. All I'm doing is taking splitting the chord in half, and usually I'm splitting it between one note at the bottom of the chord and the rest of them somewhat higher up. Although I reversed it there, so in that one, on that A major 7 chord, A flat major 7. Yeah, I'm interspersing it with simple block chords. Occasional little run. As I say, all I'm doing is splitting the chord in two and just playing the two parts at slightly different times, sometimes in a rhythm, sometimes more simply. You do have to know your chords, yeah. If you're not confident with lots of different chords, then this is yet another excuse to go out there and learn them, okay. Split chords are also really useful if someone just, you know, if a singer just puts a chord sequence in front of you and says, look, can you accompany me while I play this? It's a great way of, to use the technical term, it's a great way of faking a comp and accompaniment. Also, if you're songwriting, if you have got a bit of a chord sequence, if you know how to split and just produce a little bit of a more movement-based comp, just on an improvised basis, you can help develop your songs quite quickly. As I sometimes do, I've been writing. I'm in the process of writing a song at the minute, or a little collection of songs, with. And I'll just demonstrate the kind of split chord comp that I'm doing for that. It's a very simple chord sequence. Well, it's a very simple chord sequence, but some of the chords in it are quite complex. You'll see what I mean. Let me just play the chords through in their simplest formats. Yeah, we go with A minor 7, C over G, F major 7, E minor 7, D minor 7, back to A minor 7. E7 with a sharp 9, told you some of them were strange. F9, C over E, I should say, and then back to an E7. So you don't need to remember or learn that chord sequence. But what I can do, I know that's the chord sequence for my song, so I can begin to use split chords to improvise a comp. Just watch this, and I'll talk about what I'm doing in a sec. So you'll see there that most of the chords I was playing were just stuck in one position. I messed about a little bit in a couple of places, but mainly the chords were just in that very simple position. Okay, and I was doing movements like this. Okay, so I play the whole chord, bit of it. Again, it's another way of splitting chords. What really gave it the movement was what was going on in the left. If you just listen to the sort of thing I was doing in the right, there's quite a lot of rhythm there, but the full thing needs some sort of movement in the left. Okay, and again, putting little extra twiddles in there, bit of an arpeggio, broken chord. Look at what I was doing in the left there to complement that split chord. Very simple left hand, sustained note, bass note right to the bottom, and a bit of movement on this E here, generally rocking against the split chord in the right. Okay, so as well as having that movement, okay, that kind of rocking movement within the one hand over the split, I'm doing it here as well. Very subtle. So you can begin to go kind of a little bit crazy with it. But what it comes down to is just taking the simple chord and breaking it into little bits that you can run against one another. You could, if you wanted, sit here and watch me do this and slow down what I'm doing and look at the particular patterns, or you could go and look at any number of pianists who are better than I am, who use splits. So, you know, that's virtually everybody, Elton John, Ben Folds, all of them. But the best thing to do is simply to go away and play with it by yourself. Yeah, take the chords, run with them, sit at the piano, just, you know, kind of let your fingers do the thinking. The trick is to, I know it's not easy, it's like riding a bike, the trick is just to be relaxed and to explore, and don't obsess about getting things right. If you get things wrong, it doesn't matter. Yeah, just, nobody's listening except the cat. Yeah, just play around. Okay. Okay, so there we go. Any questions, come back to me. I know I've got a massive backlog, a huge backlog of questions I've got to answer at the minute. Really sorry about that, guys. I've been away on holiday and I had loads of work and I've been ill. Excuses. If you send me a question, eventually I will get around to answering it, even if it takes a little while. And if I don't, send me a reminder. Yeah. If you're not sure about chords, if you're not sure about the basics, you might be interested in my book, which I always like to give a little plug to, How to Really Play the Piano, the stuff your teacher never taught you. It's available in a print edition and in a digital edition. And there's big tables of chords at the back, so if you're ever confused about chords, it's all there. You need to be able to read a bit of music, but it's not massively difficult. It'll teach you all about improvisation and comping and stuff like that. And if you enjoy these videos, it's just kind of a good kind of accompaniment for them. You don't need to buy it. You can still get a lot out of it, I'm sure, just by watching the vids. Anyway, as usual, I've talked far too long. I'm going to be making some more videos fairly soon. I'm possibly still thinking about doing this very basic beginner's piano course. Watch this space. And the next video I make, maybe not the next one, maybe the one after, I might have a new piano as well, which I'm really looking forward to, but I'll leave that as a surprise. You can see what I've got next time or the time after. Okay, I've gone on long enough, so I'll leave it there. Hope that was useful.